Alrighty everyone, welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Today we're going to get back into the card sorter, the magic sorter. We have done this on the channel. This is probably the fourth or fifth video with the magic sorter, which is now called the Joey 3 Sorter Droid Mark II here. Joey is our shipper, our high school employee that does the shipping, so we named this after him. We're going to talk about some of the issues I've been having with the magic sorter, card sorter. That is the brand name of this. You can check back the other videos of what we did previously. Essentially what we're doing here is just going to color sort. It's also going to tell us what cards are valuable. It'll sift through all the cards right there are worth 150 cents. Those are rares. Oops, I hit it. Those are mythics, and then it color sorts otherwise. You can do different things with it as well. That's just kind of what we've been using it for. But I want to get into some of the issues we've been having because at the end of the day, I want to make this point, I think, that the market is just not ready, or the technology is just not ready for a card sorter in the industry as it stands currently. I was very, very, very excited to get a card sorter. You guys know this from the previous videos. I'm going to get into the ways that this is working, because there are reasons that this is still a really good purchase for me in the store. There are reasons that it is working, but I also want to identify that I'm biased. I was really excited to get this thing in because I've always wanted one, and I want to get through some of the issues that is going on. The question I want to ask is there a card sorter that works for me as a store owner, but would also work for you as a consumer or a prosumer? That is what's important to me. Not just, the Roco sorter from TCG Player. It's $25,000. It's not realistic at all for a consumer to ever pick up a $25,000 card sorter. But this is $3,000, and it's much cheaper. It's 1/10 of the price, essentially, and it's much cheaper. And is it a usable card sorter for somebody like you that might be watching this video? That's kind of the idea of this series of videos and what I want to get into. So let's get into the issues with this thing that I've been running into. The number one issue I have with it is its build quality. And I know what you're going to say, Louie, what did you expect for $3,000? That's 1/10 of the price of the Roco sorter. How could they get you something better quality in a cheaper version? I get it. Listen, I understand. But the question is the build quality good enough for $3,000? I mean, $3,000 is still a lot of money. We've had this thing for a month and a half, I think, and it's broken like multiple times. And I'll try to get into, I'm not going to like overcut video or anything like that. I'll try to get into some of the issues. First off is this tray here comes off, and there's like these little screws. Now I've taped it because, whatever. But there's these little screws here that comes off, and the computer is inside there. And when they gave it to us, some of the computer things inside were not working properly. There's a pump here that is what that works as a suction cup for that thing. The pump needed to be like manually pumped. It was kind of awkward. And so that happened. And then when you do that, the way that these screws were put in wasn't very good. They're like these little things that just kind of hang out in these grooves, so they're hard to put back together. Let me just start off by saying I consider myself a pretty good like fixer of things. I'm not great. I'm not like an amazing fixer of things, but I feel like I'm a pretty good fixer of things. And this was difficult to put back together because of the kind of shorty build quality of it. But that's okay. That's okay. I was willing to work through that. But then the secondary issue is that there's nothing that holds that computer tray system to the box. So as you're trying to fix it, the thing's just dangling. And as we were trying to fix it, one of the little computer chip things kind of came off a little bit, which is not great. Okay, it's just not great. And it turns out that little computer chip thing where one of the inputs went in was for the touch screen. And so I reached out to the company. I was like, hey, this thing wasn't, it didn't work. And so now the touch screen doesn't work. And that's because of the way that it's built. And then the bigger issue is not necessarily the way that it's built, but their expectation on you as a consumer to fix the problem yourself, right? Which is fine. Like, as somebody who likes fixing things, I want to be able to fix the thing myself. But when you don't set it up in a way that is high enough quality for a consumer to fix it yourself, it kind of sets it up to fail. So the expectations of repair and the interaction with the build quality just didn't leave me super excited. Now I have to use a computer mouse to run it, which is honestly not that big of a deal. For $3,000, you expect the thing to work out of the box. And for $3,000, you expect that when you fix it, it doesn't break very easily as you're fixing it. So it's essentially inside of there a Raspberry Pi device that's connected to a touch screen and that kind of thing. And so that's kind of the issue. Again, for $3,000, you get what you paid for, right? You're not getting the $25,000 Roku sorter, which comes with, I'm sure, a person that would come out and fix it and that kind of thing. The question is the market ready for a product like this? And then the communication with me was essentially like, hey, yeah, it's broken. Here's what you need to do to fix it. And it assumes a lot out of an end user, that they're going to be able, like he said, plug it into the Raspberry Pi. Well, where's the Raspberry Pi? Like, I will figure it out because because I'll do it and I'll just hit buttons until something works. But the end user shouldn't have to do a lot of that kind of stuff. And then here's the kind of the bigger issue for me personally. My staff, because of the delicacy of it, my staff seems to be a little bit afraid to use it because they're afraid that they will break it. And maybe this is me, maybe I'm just a bad employer. But through conversations, they're like afraid to set it up because, it will break. And like, that's fair. That's a fair criticism of the product that my staff, I have to be here essentially to make sure that it's running because my staff's afraid that they're going to break it because they've now seen it break 3 times. And so that's frustrating. That's a frustrating thing. So I wanted to give you guys my issues with it. When we first started the series, I was talking like, hey, I'm going to buy 4 or 5 of these. That's kind of what my idea was because I wanted to do this service where you can ship me your cards or you can bring in your cards to the store and we'll color sort them. We'll pull out any cards over 50 cents for you, that kind of thing. I'm just not sure that the build quality of this Magic sorter as it stands is worth me investing another $10,000 to $15,000 into them if I'm already having this many problems off the rip. But all that to say, there are still some use cases that I'm getting a lot of value out of this thing, and I'm still excited about it. I want you to hear that. We may not do a bunch of videos about it now, just because we'll keep you updated, but now it's just kind of going. You've heard most of my thoughts on it at this point. But the use cases that I'm still excited about are the ability to color. Like right now, it's finishing up our bulk. I think we have 2 more bulk bins, and then I just bought a bunch of bulk from somebody else. So it's finishing up our bulk. It is taking out all the cards over 50 cents. And then it's color sorting the rest, which has an inherent value to me as a store owner. I think, over the next 3 years, if this thing is running, it'll probably, more than pay for itself. And it will provide a better experience for my store in terms of being able to come in and the cards are color sorted when you're going through the bulk bins, which is a win. Which will then sell more, commons and uncommons from our bulk, which will again, just go towards paying for that kind of thing. Here's the best case scenario that I found for it though. The other day I had a customer come in and he was trading in his whole collection. I mean, he's got 5 or 6, decks. We're talking modern decks. And then he had this like box of cards that he was like, I think some of them are worth more than $1. I didn't go through them though. I'm talking like a stack of probably 1,600 cards, right? So while I was going through at the front, his decks that were, we knew were cards that had value, we put the other 1,600 cards through the card sorter, and it sorted them out and it pulled all the cards that were worth more, and then I took those and sorted them. So it doubled my energy because I could be up front buying the expensive cards and the card sorter was in the back sifting through and making sure that we didn't miss any valuable cards that then I purchased. I probably purchased an additional $500 worth of cards from this gentleman as a result of the card sorter doing work while I was. It probably saved me an hour and a half of work and allowed me to purchase another $500 worth of cards, which is roughly a $250 value at kind of where we buy cards. So it was a good win in terms of that. And I think if we can get that to to work more consistently, it would be a good purchase for our store in that way. Again, though, that was while I was here. And if my staff is afraid to use it, it doesn't work, right? And so again, this might be me in the way that I train my staff, the way that I communicate with my staff. Maybe I just need to be better so that they're not afraid of breaking it. But at the end of the day, it should help buy collections and that kind of stuff. By the way, these are cards that aren't like, we're not talking about reserve list cards and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't damage cards. I know everybody always thinks that when you're watching this thing, because it does like kind of fold. Watch it pick up the card. It kind of folds, it suctions it, and then watch it. Just make sure that it doesn't have any more cards. It does no damage to the card. Trust me. All the cards still near mint. I know, it's just like a little piece of plastic that it's touching. So it's really not that big of a deal. And then the last thing, there are ways to utilize this thing to build out, like you can make a theme of cards. I'm interested in that because we do these like bulk rare things where it's like 25 rares for like $10 or something like that, and we build them out into like a commander starter deck, right? So we pick a legendary creature and then we kind of throw in a bunch of cards that work with that legendary creature. It would be really cool to get this to do that, and there is a function on it that would apply to that. So that's another way to utilize this. I'll keep you guys updated on the Magic Sorter. Check out the previous videos though if you want to see kind of how it works and that kind of thing. At the end of the day, I gotta say I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed in the build quality. I'm a little disappointed in the customer service side of it as well. But at the end of the day, I'm still excited to have a card sorter. I still see a value in it. And I was able to, as a decently good repair person, fix it up and get it working every time that it's broken. The problem is, how many more times is it going to break, and how testy is my patience when that happens again. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Remember to be kind to the people around you. Remember, this whole cardboard world, there's more to it than that. You know, just remember to have fun, be kind to people. We'll see you again next video.